Our prayer this morning is by Gretchen Haley. I know we have dreams of saving the whole world, but let's try today for a smaller scale. Let's tend to this hour, to this space. Here in the hollows of our chest, the in and out of our breath. Let's begin in our bodies, in this moment, in this letting go and taking in this silence. Let's find here again the beating of our own hearts. Listen. The steady pulse that has carried us this far, the dreams of our lives, the call of those who kept getting out of bed so that we could be here today, breathing and finding the beat that calls to us even now behind the noise of grief or fear or overwhelm. Already we are beloved. Already we are enough. And these bodies are gifts. This life is a gift. This earth is a gift. And we are here only to listen, letting it pull on our hearts with this steady healing hope, in and out. Beloved, you are already enough. Pass it on. Amen. Reading this morning is by John O'Donohue. In the Celtic tradition, there is a beautiful understanding of love and friendship. One of the fascinating ideas here is the idea of soul love. The old Gaelic term for this is anam cara. Anam is the Gaelic word for soul, and cara is the word for friend. So anam cara in the Celtic world was the soul friend. In the early Celtic church, a person who acted as a teacher, companion, or spiritual guide was called an anam cara. It originally referred to someone to whom you confessed, revealing the hidden intimacies of your life. With the anam cara, you could share your innermost self, your mind, and your heart. This friendship was an act of recognition and of belonging. When you had an anam cara, your friendship cut across all convention, morality, and category. You were joined in an ancient and eternal way with the friend of your soul. In this love, you are understood as you are without mask or pretension. The superficial and functional lies and half-truths of social acquaintance fall away. You can be as you really are. Love allows understanding to dawn, and understanding is precious. Where you are understood, you are at home. Now, before we begin, I just want to celebrate that there are not that many intergenerational spaces in our lives anymore, but today we have with us, from what I can see, 1 to 96. That's a great thing. Thank you all for being here. When I was in high school, my longtime best friend told me that I was her serious friend. What? I asked. Yeah, she said, Lauren is my fun friend, and Megan is my all-around friend, and you are my serious friend. I resented that label very much. Who wants to be the serious friend? I wanted desperately to be the fun friend, or even the all-around friend. I also wanted to help her study for tests and advise her to turn out all the lights and hide when word got out around school that her parents were away for the weekend and that she would be having a party at her house. I guess becoming a minister didn't really help launch me out of the serious friend category. But upon reflection, even though I hadn't been cast in the role I desired in that teenage friendship, I think she might have been onto something about appreciating different friends for the different roles that they played in her life. In 1855, Maria Mitchell wrote in her diary about the importance of friendship. A little bit about her before I read from her journal. Maria Mitchell grew up on Nantucket and was fascinated by the night sky. At age 12, she helped her father calculate the position of their home by observing a solar eclipse. By 14, sailors trusted her to do vital navigational computations for their long whaling journeys. Mitchell became famous for discovering a comet through a telescope, for which she was awarded a gold medal by the King of Denmark. She was then thrust into the international spotlight and became America's first professional female astronomer. She was also, by the way, a Unitarian. Applying ideas from astronomy to her personal relationships, she believed it was unwise to turn a single person into the center of gravity in one's emotional universe. One's attachments should be distributed among many people, she argued, each fulfilling a different need. One providing intellectual stimulation, another rendering us more elastic and buoyant, more happy and radiating more happiness because we know him. Yet another inspiring in us such warmth of affection that our hearts grow as if in a summer feeling. No doubt Mitchell had serious friends who encouraged her studies, but also courageous friends who encouraged her to be a pioneer for women in science, and sensitive friends who would let her cry on their shoulder when it all became too much. It's interesting to think about the different friends in our lives and what they contribute to our well-being. Do you have friends that you can talk about books with? Friends who you go to for parenting advice? Friends who push you to be more adventurous? Friends who will tell you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it? Friends who make you laugh until your sides ache? What are your categories of friendship? And perhaps more importantly, what do you add to your friends' lives? If they had to put you into a category, what would it be? It's interesting that all of our friends are rarely in the same room together at the same time. Some of them will never know each other. But collectively, they make up a structure that supports us and allows us to make our way through life. Mitchell writes, We have, therefore, a circle whom we call friends, giving a name to the whole, which perhaps in its singular occupation might be used for the combination. Out of the whole circle, we may make up a single friend. We love them all, but we love the union of all better. I was introduced to Maria Mitchell's words on friendship by Maria Popova and her incredible newsletter, Brain Pickings. She has several editions devoted to the theme of friendship and quotes from many of my favorite authors on the subject. But of course, it's not just the poets or the long-dead astronomers that teach us about the magic of friendship. I was at a 6-year-old's birthday party last week, and I watched as the birthday girl's best friend took her face into her palms with 2 tiny cupped hands. My dad's best friend regularly drives 2.5 hours to Plymouth to help him on his oyster grant, even though they are both technically retired. My mom's friend came over the other day to help her look for lost keys. 2 weeks ago, I sent a text to one of my own best friends saying, "Are you still coming for Carnival? Because I've taken the liberty of buying us matching fairy outfits." And she texted back, "Yes!" That's a good friend. I had, of course, heard of the term soulmate before and was ambivalent about it. If there was just one soulmate out there for each of us, it seems highly unlikely, given the world's population, that we would ever meet them. And there's so much pressure surrounding that idea. Like, once you meet your soulmate, they are supposed to be the only person you will ever need in your life. And that's just not true. Even if you do indeed meet and fall in love with and marry your soulmate, you will also, at the very least, need a serious friend, a fun friend, and an all-around friend. So, soulmate, I don't know. But when I learned about soul friends, that idea spoke to my heart. Soul friend, kindred spirit, anam cara. John O'Donohue says, anam cara originally referred to someone to whom you confessed, revealing the hidden intimacies of your life. With the anam cara, you could share your innermost self, your mind, and your heart. Oh, how lovely to feel known, to feel loved, to feel accepted as our true selves, even with all our inadequacies. To have our faces cupped in gentle hands by someone who says, "Beloved, you are already enough." In this love, you are understood as you are, without mask or pretension, O'Donohue says. The superficial and functional lies and half-truths of social acquaintance fall away. You can be as you really are. Love allows understanding to dawn, and understanding is precious. Where you are understood, you are at home. And it's not just that you can be your true self with your friends, although that is huge. But it's also that your friends are helping you to form who your true self is. They are continuously helping us to become who we are. The friends with whom we encircle ourselves, Mitchell tells us, become instrumental in the architecture of our own character. After all, it is through relationships as Van Gogh wrote to his brother, that we refine ourselves. Our choice of relationships can either reinforce the limiting patterns of thought and feeling that have long governed us, or decondition them by helping us learn new patterns of attachment and orientation of being. Mitchell writes, "Whatever our degree of friends may be, we come more under their influence than we are aware. Who of us acts and speaks without an eye to the approbations of those he loves? Is not the assent of another a sort of second conscience? Who judges a work of art and sees only with his own eyes?" she asks. "Who listens to a lecture and hears only with his own ears? We turn aslant as we stand before the picture to see what good judges are looking. We open the guidebook to see what we ought to admire. Insensibly, our judgment is inspired by that of those around us. It is not a weakness to be deplored," she says. "We were more than conceited did we rate ourselves so much above the rest of the world that we needed no outward aids to judgment. We were born dependent. Our happiness is in the hands of others. Our character is molded by them and receives its coloring from them as much as our feeling relates the parental impress." So to paraphrase Maria Mitchell loosely, if you turn out to be a jerk, don't blame your parents, blame your friends. And if there is any part of you that is kind, understanding, loving, forgiving, encouraging, thank your friends. You have probably learned that from them. It works like this. You are in a shop one day and you think to yourself, "Catherine would love those earrings." And you hear a joke one day and you think, "David would be quite offended if he heard that. I don't think I'll laugh." And you see a picture of Jesse doing something adventurous on Facebook and you say to yourself, "Maybe I will take that trip next year." And your mother dies and Sophia leaves you a lasagna on your front porch with a sweet little note. And then when the neighbor's dog dies, you decide to leave them some flowers. And as you begin to not only respond to the world, but imagine how your friends would respond to the world, they begin to rub off on you. And so it's so important who you surround yourselves with, because they will begin to shape you. It's important to find kindred spirits, people you respect, people who make you smile, people who make you want to be a better person, but who also like you just the way you are. Soul friends. You know, sometimes when the world is so stressful and the news is recycling all the vitriol of the day with greater and greater volume, and your soul friends are busy, you just need to watch some easy feel-good television. I'm willing to admit that. I have some more impressive coping mechanisms like exercise and gardening and meditation, but I'm going to be real with you, I also watch TV. One of the shows that I like to watch is a Canadian melodrama about a horse ranch called Heartland. Has anyone watched it? Oh, two in the back, thank you. For the rest of you, here is some amazing news. There are 11 seasons of this show. You're welcome. The main character on Heartland is this young woman named Amy, who is really good with the horses. 11 seasons ago, she was a teenager, but now she is a young mother, balancing the demands of work and marriage and motherhood. People bring her their horses when they can't figure out what's wrong with them, and the long sequence of vets and trainers haven't been able to figure anything out. In one recent episode, a woman has just spent an enormous amount of money on a new racing horse. But the problem is, the horse isn't racing well. He's anxious and not sleeping, and then he's kind of lethargic on the course because he isn't well rested. And no one can figure it out. There have been no changes in the horse's diet or exercise regime. He's just not himself. She brings the horse to Amy. Now, around the same time, a parallel plot line is happening in this episode where a traffic accident has caused a truck full of goats to crash. And all the goats get loose and are meandering all over the county. Amy's grandfather finds one and brings it home and ties it up near the barn until he can get in touch with the owner of the truck, who is desperate to recoup some of his losses by finding all these lost goats. But seeing the goat tied there and noticing that the horse keeps looking over at it, Amy has an idea. She introduces them, the racehorse and the goat. And there is a definite bond that happens. The goat starts following the horse around, and the horse actually seems to enjoy it. They let the goat sleep in the horse's stall that night, and the horse gets a good night's sleep for the first time in ages. And a few days later, when they do a little test run, the horse runs around the track like lightning. He is back to his old self. Problem solved. When the farmer comes to claim his lost goat, they explain that they just can't part with him after all, and they buy the goat instead. All is well at Heartland. Thanks to this racehorse-goat friendship. After watching the show, I was curious, so I looked it up, and apparently this is a real thing. It happens in real life. Racehorses are notoriously anxious creatures, and so sometimes they pair up a horse with a friendly goat, and it seems to calm the horse down. It grounds them. They feel comfortable and safe and not alone. They have a friend. I think it helps when your friend doesn't care if you win races. The simple assurance of having company, having friendship, of being accepted, of being loved, especially when we are at our worst, it is a saving grace. And it works for people too. Author Anne Lamott remembers the company of others when she hit bottom as an alcoholic in her 30s. A few women in the community reached out to me, she says. They recognized me as a frightened lush. I told them about my most vile behavior, and they said, "Me too." I told them about my crimes against the innocent, especially me. They said, "Ditto. Yay. Welcome." I couldn't seem to get them to reject me. It was a nightmare. And then my salvation. Trappings and charm wear off, Anne says. Let people see you. They see your upper arms are beautiful, soft, and clean and warm, and then they will see this about their own some of the time. It's called having friends, choosing each other, getting found, being fished out of the rubble. It blows you away, she says, how this wonderful event ever happened. Me in your life, you in mine. Me in your life, you in mine. The miracle of friendship. When you leave here today, I want you to call your best friend. Even if it's just a brief chat. Tell them you love them. Don't ask them if you're their fun friend. It might ruin the mood. Just thank them for truly knowing you, so that you can feel that sense of belonging and at-homeness that comes with being known. And remind them that you are there for them too, that they are known and loved, beloved. Tell them that if they still can't find their keys in an hour, you will come over and help them look. Tell them that if you were a goat and they were a racehorse, you would sleep the night in their stall, just to let them know that you were still there. Tell them that if you were present at their 6th birthday party, you would take their face into your hands gently, just to gaze into their eyes with delight. Poet David White writes, "The ultimate touchstone of friendship is not improvement, neither of the other nor of the self. The ultimate touchstone is witness, the privilege of having been seen by someone, and the equal privilege of being granted the sight of the essence of another, to have walked with them and to have believed in them, and sometimes just to have accompanied them for however brief a span on a journey impossible to accomplish alone." May we each be blessed by friendship in our lives, by kindred spirits, by anam cara. None of us are on this journey alone, thank God. Amen, and blessed be.